Thank you very much for the opportunity to present at this conference in Geneva. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of BeMetals in terms of our corporation and the two main projects that we have in our portfolio at the moment. This is really the first conference that we've done where we've really started marketing in earnest, so this may well be a new story to most of you. As with most companies, the overall team very important, and in our case very specifically so. As just mentioned in the introduction, this company is supported in terms of directors by Clive Johnson, Tom Garrigan and Roger Richer, and also Dennis Sansbury as an advisor, both all principals and founders of B2 Gold, and all involved as founders and principals of BeMa Gold, before B2 itself. My relationship with the team here came around in quite an interesting way. I'm a geologist from the UK. I started my career in South Africa working for a company called Angloval Mining. And during the late 90s, we were doing some exploration work in Namibia, and we found what became ultimately the Otjikoto gold mine, which is now very successfully mined by B2 Gold. After my time with Angloval and subsequently African Rainbow Minerals, I spent 8 years working for Antofagasta PLC, the large Chilean copper producer, running our exploration and new business throughout Africa. Because B2 ultimately put the project into production, when we vended it out of Angloval, it had about 2 million ounces on the books. The guys from B2 very kindly used to invite me back to the inaugurations. And that was really where the relationship started with the guys. During my time with Antofagasta, Richard Solito was our go-to external consultant. Richard's based out of London and one of the foremost experts on copper and other base metal styles of mineralization in the world. And he agreed to also join the team as a technical advisor. Derek joined the team about a year ago now to strengthen our marketing, really in preparation for the time when we started to get news flow coming out of our projects. And actually, Derek did also start his career with BeMa originally. Kristen Reinertsen, our CFO, based in Vancouver, along with Derek, and comes with a back office support staff. And one of the things we're very much driven on is really keeping our overheads very low, until we've really earned the right to expand the team. We started BeMetals about 18 months ago with one of my former early stage copper exploration projects in Zambia. But from inception, we were looking to get a more advanced project under our belts that we could push forward and potentially bring into production in a relatively short time frame. We looked at about 30 to 32 projects in various places in the world. I went to the field on about 12 of those. Dennis and I visited a number of those projects in Europe, South America, and North America. And the one we liked the most was this South Mountain property in southwestern Idaho. What really encouraged us to do a deal on this project with the optionees was the high-grade nature of the mineralization in the region of 17% on a zinc equivalent basis. And that's really formed by a large portion of that is actually in zinc metal itself, running at about 10%. A strong silver credit in the region of 150 grams a ton. And what we're finding now from our current drilling underground is that one of the main zones of mineralization actually has a strong gold credit, ranging in current bore results between 2 and 8 grams a ton gold. Another important feature of this project is it's located on 17 patented claims, which makes permitting and of a mining operation very easy relative to if you're on federal or state land in the US. There's strong community support for this project. The nearest settlement is Jordan Valley, a few hundred people living there, and already they're seeing some of the benefits of having us get this underground drilling operation in terms of investment into the local businesses. The red outline here is those 17 patented claims. They date back, they were originally pegged by prospectors back to 1904, where the guys were actually finding high-grade silver veins near the outcrop of this Laxley marble unit. Subsequent to that, it was discovered that there was polymetallic, high-grade polymetallic mineralization underneath these silver veins in this area here. And interestingly, in the medium term, there's been no exploration drilling done on this northern limb of the marble unit in this area, which we will address in the years to come. 2 levels of underground development. On the right-hand side is a plan view. We're currently in on the Sonneman level, and a lot of our drilling recently has been from what's called Muck Bay 5 here, fan drilling to scope the potential to extend these high-grade zones down plunge and increase the resource base. From our internal studies, what we're looking at as a first target here is to get the resource base up to about 1 to 1.5 million tons of high-grade material, and then we believe we can build a viable concentrator operation with the potential to sell to smelters either in the region or putting it on ship on the west coast of the US. You'll see some of the, this is perspective view looking to the north. A lot of our drilling has been focused on this so-called DMEA zone, where the bulk of the current modest resource tonnage is. And we're getting good success, and we've news released these holes now, extending the plunge, down plunge extent of the high-grade mineralization. The mineralization itself is a massive sulfide, generally enveloped in skarn mineralization. And we think the correct terminology, having had Dixolito here only 2 months ago, historically this had been described as a skarn deposit, but we think the correct terminology really should be a carbonate replacement deposit that always do have a small element of skarn mineralization associated with them. And since the inputs from Dixolito on this project, I think we probably have been underestimating what the upside ultimately might be on the tonnage potential for this deposit. Also, interestingly, in the southeast here, the so-called Texas zone does come with a large component of copper mineralization. And we'll be putting out some results where we've been drilling out towards the Texas mineralization in the next couple of weeks. That just gives you a summary of some of the intersections that we're getting from underground. We, the true widths of these mineralized intersection is probably 60 to 80% of these drilled intercepts because of the angle that we have to drill from underground towards the bodies. But these bodies are actually sort of ellipsoid or circular in shape, so we're probably being a bit conservative on that correction we're doing for true width when we get into an ultimate mining situation. Also importantly, the contact of the massive sulfide body is a good visual contact that you see underground, and it's opened up in the underground development. So it will give the miners a good target to get to. So what we don't want to do, this is a high-grade deposit, we don't want to create dilution by trying to up the mining rate. There's a natural delivery of this deposit, and that is to keep it as a high-grade opportunity. We finished our drilling underground for this phase this weekend, actually. There'll be more news coming out in the next 3 weeks as those results come in from the laboratory. And next year, we'll be doing fundraising in February or March and looking to complete next year a phase of about 5,000 meters of underground drilling. And at the end of that phase, we'll be able to put out a revised resource estimate for the property. Just to get back to the project we've been running in Zambia called Pengeni. We're out here on the northwest corner of Zambia near the border with Angola. And what we're doing here is a very similar thesis to actually how we found that Otjikoto gold project in Namibia. Otjikoto would have been found by German prospectors 100 years ago if it wasn't for the fact that it was covered by a thin veneer of calcrete that masked bedrock geology and geochemistry. Here we don't have calcrete cover, but what we do have is Kalahari sand cover. So in this area, the property is covered by 10 to 50 meters of sand, and where we've been drilling, on average, about 25 meters of Kalahari sand cover. The exploration methodology is pretty simple. We use high-resolution magnetic interpretation to get us to our conceptual targets. Then we use an air core rig on the back of a land cruiser, punch holes through that sand cover, and get bedrock geology and geochemistry. We put 2 phases of air core into this project last year, and that generated some very interesting targets, specifically D2, and an extension to the southwest target here called E2. And this is an example of some of those results that we're getting. The yellow there depicts the sand cover on top of the bedrock, and we're getting intersections in the region of 5 meters in thickness. These are very close to true thicknesses because of the angle that we're drilling here. And importantly, the mineralization is dominated by chalcopyrite, an associated alteration mineral called kyanite. The nearest mining operation to us here is First Quantum Sentinel mine, which again has that relationship. Chalcopyrite, pyrrhotite, and kyanite. Sentinel is something like 800 million tons at 0.5% copper. So what we're getting here are already sort of viable grades if we can build up the resource tonnage in these properties, and obviously ideally also increase the grade. So our next phase of work here, because when you're doing this sort of air core related exploration, you have a single line. So it will be a little bit like exploring a conventional target based on one line of soil geochemistry. As you all know, you never do that. You would obviously do a grid of soil geochemistry and then pick various targets based on the grade and the geometry of that soil geochemistry to where you target your holes. So what we'll be doing next year is doing grids of air core drilling around these principal targets to vector towards the higher grade mineralization. Typically in these systems, the higher grade mineralization tends to be cored by bornite, and we are finding some bornite specifically at CT and minor amounts at the SW target already. So really exciting results, and you can see that although on relatively narrow sample widths, here on the southeastern corner of the southwest target, we've got samples that are getting 0.5 meter at 2.7% copper, controlled in that case by a quartz vein. And that sort of style of mineralization is something we know important throughout the copper belt. And myself and Richard Solito have spent a lot of, and former colleagues at Antofagasta, we spent a lot of time and effort researching and dating the age of this mineralization. And what we're seeing here so far fits into that overall idea as to what might control the real big deposits that can be lurking here under this sand cover. Just very briefly, our corporate structure. We're a new company. A large portion of the company is invested by insiders. Clive Johnson has been buying into the company up until recently. He now has about 10% of the company, and a large portion of that 61% retail is also friends and family. And the near-term drivers for the company are continued good news flow out of the South Mountain project and the design and implementation next year of that Pengeni copper project, which has the potential to deliver a real world-class discovery. So thank you very much for your time, and we're around for the next 2 days, so any questions, please feel free to do that.